Every time I go on the internet, all I see is a bunch of dudes sitting around going, why are you not playing Shedeur, and why are you about it? Like they're playing the soundbite. He won't even say his name. He won't even say his name. What is that? What is that?
The fact that they won't move away from Dillon Gabriel and admit that they made a huge mistake and at least see what they have in Shedeur Sanders makes them not just look like a bad organization, but it makes them look dysfunctional. Dillon Gabriel's never been better than Shedeur Sanders. Ever. Not at any level.
The Cleveland Browns quarterback situation has reached a critical breaking point, with former NFL player Shawn King voicing strong criticism of the organization. He's questioning their player evaluation methods and making a clear recommendation: give Shedeur Sanders the starting role. This isn't just commentary for attention, it's a systematic critique of the Browns' quarterback decisions, and there's growing evidence that King's perspective deserves consideration. Let's examine the core issue. Dillon Gabriel was positioned as a solution, a precise passer and accomplished college player who could bring stability to an offense that struggled to find its identity since the Baker Mayfield era ended. However, the results haven't matched expectations, adding another chapter to the Browns' quarterback challenges. King anticipated these difficulties early on.
They should have alternated starts for this particular reason. When you don't alternate starts, now if you give the other young quarterback a chance to start, it looks like you're giving up on the one that's currently playing.
This highlights the insight in King's analysis. He identified this situation months in advance. By investing so heavily in Gabriel early on, the Browns created a predicament where switching course would appear reactionary. Any change risks looking like desperation rather than strategic adjustment, a case of organizational misjudgment presented as commitment. King's critique goes deeper than simply noting Gabriel's struggles. He's challenging the fundamental reasoning behind the Browns' initial decision-making process and questioning whether their evaluation was sound from the start.
He did not have the traits of an elite starting quarterback in the National Football Leagues. Couple that with he's very undersized.
The Browns used a third-round pick on a quarterback who doesn't have elite traits and is undersized for the position. But wait, it gets worse.
But Dillon isn't that fast. He's not that agile. He's not big. He doesn't have a big-time arm. He's not overly accurate on a consistent basis. Like, I just don't know what.
Read that list again slowly. Not fast, not agile, not big, doesn't have a cannon, isn't consistently accurate. So what exactly does Dillon Gabriel do at an elite level? King is essentially asking the question every Browns fan has been screaming at their television for weeks. What were they thinking? Why, even after so much humiliation, Browns are still sticking with Dillon Gabriel?
Why is he not in there? Why has a change not been made? Are they trying to win or not? And who has the final say?
That's the million-dollar question, and John Greco nailed it. Because if this team is truly trying to win, why is Dillon Gabriel still under center? And if they're not trying to win, then why not give Shedeur Sanders the valuable reps he needs right now? There's no logical explanation that doesn't circle back to ego, stubbornness, or straight-up dysfunction. And here's where it gets even uglier. The incentives don't even line up. What's best for the organization is to lose the rest of the game, secure that top draft pick, and hit reset. But what's best for Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry is the exact opposite. Scratch, claw, fight, find a way to steal 2, 3, maybe 4 meaningless wins just to save face. That's the heart of Cleveland's chaos. The front office and the coaching staff aren't even playing the same game anymore. The franchise wants the future, the staff wants survival. And stuck in the middle of that mess is Shedeur Sanders, watching his development window shrink while the Browns pretend everything's fine. And to make matters worse, defenses have already figured Gabriel out. Teams know he's unwilling to throw the ball downfield, so they've tightened up underneath coverage, jumped routes, and dared him to go deep because they know he won't. Once defenses sense that fear, it's over. They take away your comfort throws, suffocate your rhythm, and expose your limitations. That's not just a slump, that's a death spiral. And right now, that's exactly where the Browns' offense lives.
I kind of feel bad for him. He was put in a terrible spot.
Okay. Yeah, this is a terrible eval by Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski.
That's the tragedy of this entire mess. Gabriel isn't the villain. He's a victim of organizational arrogance. He was drafted too high, thrust into a starting role he wasn't ready for, and now he's being fed to the wolves while the people who made the decision hide behind process and development. So what's the answer? Shawn King said it crystal clear. Start Shedeur Sanders immediately.
To be honest, it's super unfair to Shedeur Sanders. Because if he doesn't come in and look like the next coming of some elite player, guess what? They're going to be switching up on him too.
The Browns have created a no-win scenario for everyone involved. Gabriel can't succeed because he's not talented enough for this level. Sanders can't succeed because the bar will be impossibly high after all this waiting. Stefanski can't succeed because his credibility is shot. Barry can't succeed because his evaluation process has been exposed.
I was 100% being honest that Dillon Gabriel's never been better than Shedeur Sanders.
Never, at any level. That statement should end every debate. If Gabriel has never been better than Sanders at any point in their careers, why is he starting now? What magical transformation is supposed to happen at the NFL level that didn't happen in college? Even Greco, who tries to remain diplomatic in these discussions, admitted,
It's got to look better than this. I think Shedeur can probably make a little bit better throws and be more accurate, something that we thought Dillon Gabriel was supposed to be.
Notice that last part, something we thought Dillon Gabriel was supposed to be. The Browns sold everyone on Gabriel's accuracy, his poise, his precision. That was supposed to be his calling card, the one thing this franchise could finally rely on. But even that hasn't materialized. And the frustration doesn't stop there. Shawn King pointed out how the same front office has fumbled quarterback decisions from day one, the same brain trust that traded for Kenny Pickett, the same group that said Joe Flacco would be their guy, only to turn around and ship him off inside the division the moment things didn't start off well. It's a pattern, one bad call after another. And now it's catching up to them, because when your so-called quarterback plan feels like a series of panic moves, it's not just a player problem anymore. It's an identity crisis.
As a traditional head coach would, as we would think Mike Tomlin does. We saw him cut Juan Thornhill.
Exactly. If you believed in Pickett enough to trade for him, why immediately undercut him by bringing in a veteran? If you believed in Flacco enough to start him, why bail after 1 month? If you believed in Gabriel enough to draft him in the 3rd round, why is he clearly not ready? The answer is simple. And honestly, terrifying. They don't know what they're doing. Shawn King made that crystal clear. He's done sugarcoating it, done apologizing for having opinions rooted in film study and real evaluation. In his eyes, the Gabriel pick looks more egregious by the day. The fact that this organization refuses to move on, refuses to even see what they have in Shedeur Sanders, doesn't just make them look like a bad team. It makes them look dysfunctional. And that's the word King didn't hesitate to use. Because right now, he says, the Cleveland Browns have become the laughingstock of the National Football League. Laughingstock not because they're losing. Losing happens during a rebuild. They're laughingstock because they're losing while stubbornly refusing to make the obvious adjustments that could stop the bleeding. It's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over while expecting different results. Here's the bottom line that every Browns fan needs to understand. Shawn King is right. Dillon Gabriel isn't the answer. He never was. The evaluation was flawed from the beginning. The development plan has been non-existent. And the organizational stubbornness is costing the Browns valuable development time with their actual franchise quarterback prospect. Shedeur Sanders should be starting. Not next month, not next season. Now, today, this Sunday. Every game that passes with Gabriel under center is another wasted opportunity. Another week of Sanders sitting when he should be learning. Another week of the Browns lying to themselves about their situation.
Then you're like, man, what's going on? So that's kind of where my head's going right now.
That's not hyperbole. That's documented reality. And until the Browns have the courage to admit their mistake, start Shedeur Sanders, and move forward with actual accountability, nothing is going to change. The clock is ticking. The patience is gone. And Shawn King just said what everyone in Cleveland is thinking. It's time to start Shedeur Sanders and stop pretending Dillon Gabriel is going to magically transform into something he's not. The question isn't whether King is right. The question is whether the Browns have the courage to admit it.